Hi everyone, and welcome to the Book Refuge, and welcome to another book haul. These are all of the books that I have hauled in April of this year, so that's fun. Also, you're getting the raw version today because guess what? When we don't go anywhere, I don't put on makeup every day. What's the point in wasting it? Some days I feel like making myself feel beautiful, and other days I'm like, al natural is the way to go. So let's dive into this. This book haul is half historical romance and half other kind of romance. It's basically all romance except for one book, maybe two. You could probably consider one of them not romance as well. But that's where we're at in life, and I feel no shame. If you've seen my previous videos, you know I have a historical romance shelf in my room, and they're books that I enjoy reading that give me joy and make this time a little bit better, so I don't judge myself too harshly. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start with all of the self-published romances I have here. Well, actually I'm going to start with the two that were not purchased on the internet. How about we do that? Yeah. Anyway, here we go. Most of these are going to be romance except for these first two, and then we'll go. So the first one I have to show you is Rage of Dragons by Evan Winters. This is a book that Murphy annotated for me. I'm one of her patrons, as well as she's one of my dearest friends, like on internet and in life. And this is the book that she annotated for me for March. I'm very excited about that. I've watched a lot of Evan Winters interviews. I've heard Daniel Green and Murphy say really great things about him, and I'm really excited to try this. This is a fantasy that is own voices, and it's supposed to be like, I think it's supposed to be like African culture, but fantasy, but with dragons and awesomeness. And that's all I really know. I've kind of kept it vague because I'm really excited to read it, and I don't want it spoiled for me, just because, yeah, I'm super excited. Then the other book, wow, this one was really intense. I debated doing a standalone review for it, but I feel like number one, this isn't an enjoyable book, and it's hard for me to suggest it to people, but it was fascinating, and it was like a train wreck that I couldn't look away from, and that is Docile by K.M. Spara. This is really cool because this is actually written by K.M. Spaza is a trans male, and this book, while it doesn't have a trans character in it, it does have a pretty like free-wheeling sexuality, which in the case of the story is very interesting. So how to talk about this? I've talked about this in a vlog where I kind of like, not rant in a bad way, but I went on and on for about 10 minutes about this book. This book is set in the future where the way to get out of debt is you can actually sell yourself into slavery. Basically, it's not called that. You're called docile when you do it, but basically a rich person buys your debt for an agreed amount of years, whether it's a certain amount of years or forever, and they will take care of your debt, so you don't have to go to debtor's prison, but instead you are someone's slave. And a lot of these rich people use this as a way to have a sex slave. Even though the person is agreeing to it, you're still giving up some autonomy within that. And there is this drug called docile, which is supposed to be in the eyes of the society, this is supposed to be a good thing because it actually makes you completely compliant, makes you not have to feel or think about what you're doing, and then when it's over, you're supposed to be able to stop taking it and then not remember anything that happened to you. So these people, but when you go into this, you don't have to take this drug. So that's how it's set up, is you still have certain rights when you're docile. You're still able to vote. You're still able to be taken care of well. You can't be abused, and you can't be starved or mistreated. Your sexual health has to be taken care of, especially if that's what they are using you for, and you have the right to refuse or accept docile. And everybody takes docile. Everybody does. Nobody wants to remember, except for this one man who we're focusing on, whose name is Elisha, and his mother actually never recovered from her docile, and so she is still this like mindless robot who does whatever anyone tells her, and she didn't come out of it. So Elisha, he's entering into this agreement, and he doesn't want to take it because he wants to remember everything. And he ends up getting purchased. His debt ends up getting purchased by this man named Alex Bishop, whose family actually invented docile. And so Alex purchases someone because he wants to test out a new form of docile that's supposed to be better than ever before. And he ends up finding out that Elisha won't be taking it. And so it's a very interesting thing. There is so much wrapped up in this as well that I don't want to spoil for you. And this isn't supposed to be book review. I'm doing a book haul. But I'm just saying it was a very complex thing to read. I gave this 5 stars. You'll hear more about it or you probably already have, because this is going up after my wrap up. But that was intense. Okay. Let's rip through these. I got End of the Innocence by Alessandra Torre. This was the 3rd book in the Innocence trilogy. This series is about Julia and Brad. It is a swingers trilogy. I would consider this not very dark. It was dark for when it came out. This series came out all the way back in like 2013, and I feel like it was darker then than it is now. I read this whole trilogy in the month of April, and I kept waiting for it to be darker than it was, because all the like mystery around it is like, you're gonna be sucked in so deep to this dark, dark world, and girl, your girl's been there, done that. But it was enjoyable. It was a solid 4-star series. Liked it. I picked up a copy of Only Love. I read this back in March when I was on my trip. Another Melanie Harlow. I love Melanie Harlow. She's the best. This one is about an ex-Marine. And then Stella, who her grandmother lives next to Ryan. His name's Ryan, I think. And she kind of meddles. And it's adorable. I love meddling grandparents and parents. Like, really. Like, the meddling in the cute way. Then I picked up Insatiable, which is one of the books in the Cloverleaf series. I'm slowly purchasing all those. The newest one comes out on May the 4th, and it's the final sister, and I'm like so sad it's going to be over, but I absolutely love it. So you should pick this one up. This one is friends to lovers. They've been friends forever, and I think this is Chloe. It's Meg or Chloe. I can't remember because the back is written in first person. So I don't know. But she's been best friends with this guy. He is a police officer. And she has just been dumped / finally realized she shouldn't be with this one guy. So she comes home to visit, like most of our girls do. And they end up can't fight the sexual tension anymore. And it's awesome. Love it. I picked up a copy of The Wild Air by Karina Halle. This mostly came from the fact that I went on to thrift books, and every like month or so I go on and I type in all my favorite authors and see if any of their books are on there for cheap, because getting self-published novels is difficult because they are usually not on sale because they are charging you for what the cost of the book is usually. And this one is one of the Norwegian Royals. They're all standalones. This one is a reformed rake is what I would call it, and it's really cute. I love the entire the Norwegian Royals. It's really cute. Picked up Breaking Perfect by Lydia Michaels. I read this last month. This is a menage between a husband and a wife, and then the husband's ex-lover who comes back into their life. This is really great. This has a lot of trigger warnings, mostly because the wife, she has OCD from some trauma as a kid, and not like the OCD that we call OCD, the OCD where like there's counting and there's have to do things on a certain schedule, hurts herself if she doesn't, and her husband has spent many years trying to help her. He's a doctor. This is also an age gap, but the age gap isn't focused on at all, but you could sneak it into one if you wanted to, because honestly, like if there's a prequel to this about when they first met, would be amazing because she was 23 and he was 33 and he kind of like saves her. But now we're meeting them when she's 28 and he's 38, so it's not as big of a deal anymore. But I really, really like this book. It's very dark, but also super sexy. Like, it's really sexy. I picked up Us. This is the second book. This is a sequel to Him, which I already purchased. So it was time to get Us. This is by Elle Kennedy and Serena Bowen, who I will live and die by them. I love them so much. I'm slowly making it through all their series. Because speaking of Elle Kennedy, I picked up books 2 and 3 in the Off-Campus series. I actually just read The Mistake last night, and I'm going to read The Score today. These are college sports romances. The sports don't really get paid attention to too much. At least they haven't in the other two. I mean, they're important, but I think the college part more is. I'm super into sports and college romances right now, and I never thought I would be. It's so strange, guys. It's so strange, but these are great. Then in that same thrift books haul where I was looking at my favorite authors, I picked up Good Time and Good Girl by Jana Aston. Jana Aston writes hilarious, super sexy books. Like, these are rom-coms that will just make you pee your pants. Good Time, this one is, these two end up getting married in Vegas, and he's a lawyer, and they kind of have this like weird interaction, and then they end up married, and then they're not sure if they want to get a divorce or not, and it's super cute. I love it. And then there's Good Girl, and this is about the friend of the other one, and they actually, this girl really, really wants to be with this one guy. This is an age gap. And she's a virgin, and she ends up, like, selling her virginity, but specifically only to him, like, she's trying to get him, and he, you know, didn't want to take advantage of her, and then she, like, sells her virginity, so he has to fuck her. It's super cheesy. That's not something that I, like, normally really approve of. I'm not a big fan of the, like, sell that, because it puts, like, so much value on virginity and not on the person, and not that I don't think that whatever reason you're waiting or it didn't happen, like, I'm not judging you for that. I'm judging the fact that, like, that makes someone more important, or their, like, sex with them more important than someone else. But this is hilarious. So there is a, like, thing that breaks the rule all the time. And then I picked up The Game Plan by Kristen Callahan. I've read this entire series, the Game On series, and this one is about Dexter and Ivy, and Dexter is the biggest, like, stud muffin cinnamon roll that you will ever find. So he is the Tim Tebow of our series. He is a virgin, and he is so sexy. Like, I can't even. And he has liked Ivy for the past couple years, and he's been patiently waiting for a chance to make a move with her. Her sister is married to one of his best friends, and there's finally a chance for them. And just because he's a virgin doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's doing. And to that I say, hear, hear. So those are all of the self-published / like sexy books that I bought. And now let's dive into the historical romances I picked up. Because your girl is excited about that. So let's go. So I picked up Devil's Bride by Stephanie Lawrence. This is on many series, as this is the first in, this is a book in the Sinster series, which there's a ton of these, but this one I keep hearing suggested to me as like a super great one. And I've also haven't read a Stephanie Lawrence book yet. I own a few of them. They're on the shelf. Pick that up. I picked up 4 more Lorraine Heath. I'm finishing, I haven't started this series yet, but I now have all the books in the Sins for All Seasons. I read the Hellions of Havisham trilogy by Lorraine Heath in April, and it was amazing. And so I picked up these 3, and then I picked up this one, An Affair with the Notorious Heiress, because she just writes sexy books with, like, heartbreaking stories, and I'm in love with her, and I've only read 3 of her books, so I want to read more. Then I'm finishing up my Lisa Kleypas buying. So I almost have all of her books. I'm just missing a couple. I think I told you guys this. She's the next author I'm planning to deep dive. So number one, I have to get all of her books. And number two, I need to read them all. And I'm just over halfway done, but I really need to read some of her older books. So the ones that I needed to pick up Married by Morning, which you'll know I've already read this one, but it was the only one that I didn't have in the Hathaway series. So I got that. Then I have some of her older books. I have Only in Your Arms. This one actually takes place in America, so I was really interested in that. Midnight Angel, which I think this one is also in America. This one might not be. This one might not be. But there's that. I picked up Because You're Mine. I got Where Dreams Begin. And I got Someone to Watch Over Me. So those, I think I'm literally only missing 2 of her books now. And that's because they're pretty old and expensive. So I need to keep my eye out for them. Usually you can find Lisa Kleypas at thrift stores and it's not too difficult, but who knows. Then I also keep adding to my Sarah MacLean collection, even though I've yet to read one of hers, but I just know I'm going to love her. And so I'd rather have all of them so I can binge the crap out of them. That's the same thing I did with Lisa Kleypas, as I slowly picked up all of her books. And then when it was time to finally read them, I just was able to read them all at once. So I picked up A Rogue by Any Other Name, which is the first rule of Scoundrels. Then I got One Good Earl Deserves a Lover, which is the second. And then I picked up Never Judge a Lady by Her Cover, which is the fourth. And I already have the other ones. Then I picked up On Bended Knee, which is the 5th book in the Wicked Worthingtons. And this is actually adorable. This is the 6th one. And this is a self-published historical romance novel, and it's so beautiful. It's so crisp and clean. So it turns out that this series went through 3 different imprints until it ended up being self-published by her. So I'm very interested to see how this goes. This series has 9 siblings, and we're on book 6 comes out soon. So we're going to end up with 9 in this series, and I'm very excited. I can't wait to continue this series. This is so beautiful. I love the Wicked Worthingtons. I got the newest Julia Quinn, First Comes Scandal. This is the last book in the Rokesby series, which is the Bridgerton prequel. I'm a little weirded out by the cover. It's supposed to be basically like Julia Quinn's face on it, which I think is adorable, but also it creeps me out. Sorry, I like a little bit more of the it's too computer generated. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I like either go this way where she's super realistic or go this way where they're completely painted, but this is just awkward. But I'm happy for you, Julia. I love that you're on the cover of your own book. That's goals, girl. I'm just being honest. All right. Ooh, I also have another Lorraine Heath. That's right. I've already read this one. That's why I forgot. This is the Viscount and the Vixen, which is the 3rd book in the Hellions of Havisham. So, forgot. I already read that one. Then I have 2 authors here that I have never heard of before, but I go through the romance section at Barnes & Noble and I just grab whoever I want to. And so I grabbed these 2 books by Minerva Spencer, which are in the Outcast series, and they are, ready for this, these are so sexy. Dangerous and Barbarous, which just seems so sexy. I can't even. And I love because these came out in 2018, and they look like they're from the 90s, and so I'm all about it. I have no idea. These are all about people who, they're outcast from society, and I just want to try them so bad. They look so up my alley. And then I bought 3 books in a Devil's Duke series by Catherine Ashe, who I've never heard of her before. But I got The Duke, The Rogue, and The Prince. So I picked up those. So yeah, those are all the new books that we got in April. Oh, I did pick up a couple on Kindle, or not on Kindle Unlimited. I don't put those in the book haul. Books that I purchased, which I purchased The Beast by Katie Robert, which I've already read and loved it. Holy moly, so good. I picked up Hurt by Lydia Michaels, which I wanted to find another book by her after reading Breaking Perfect. And this one was very intense. This one, I caution you most strongly. It wasn't as crazy as like the cover of it makes it seem, because it's like some guy on like a, you know, St. Peter's Cross or whatever. But it was about this guy from Scotland, which I was into. I think he's Scottish. And he used to be involved in kind of like crime over there, and he was a fighter. And then some bad things happened, and he came to America. And then he's working at a hotel as a bartender. And him and the girl at the front desk kind of have this flirtation going on. But he stays away from her because he doesn't want his past to cloud into her. Until one night when she gets brutally assaulted at work. And he saves her. Well, he doesn't save her. He finds her after it happens. And then their connection goes forward from there. This was hard, but this was so good. And it's all wrapped up into one, but there's supposed to be another one in this series. So I don't know if it's about someone else or if there's more to tell about them. I have no idea. But there's nothing else planned in it, except it says book 1. Who knows? Then I purchased Everything We Left Unsaid. This is brand new. It was published this week by Ashley Cade. I read one of them last week. I read one of these books last year, her first book, and it's great. This is actually going to be a trilogy, and it's about the same couple the whole time, and it's really, really, really good. It's good. I think that's it. I think those are all the books that I like purchased. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week. If you still want to join in on the light versus dark readathon, you have a chance because you can still jump in and be reading if you want to. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching. You can watch some more of my videos right now if you want to.